Hello everyone, good morning and welcome back to Sports Today. We hope you have a great week ahead. But in this video, we're going to catch you up with things you might have missed out on whilst you were catching up on some all-important sleep. Because let's face it, whilst the world of sport is something that never really sleeps, we need sleep, so you can miss out on some news here or there, right? Well, worry not, we're going to catch you up with all of the major news that you might have missed out on, starting with a big update on India skipper Shubman Gill. Now, you'd remember that Gill ended up suffering a rather freak neck injury and has since been in the hospital and ended up missing out on the entirety of the first test after he was injured. Well, the good news is he has been discharged from the hospital, and in fact there is a video of him going viral where he can be seen walking out of the hospital by himself, which is great, but he's also wearing a neck brace. The bad news is that it is pretty much unlikely that he's going to be part of the second test, because not only is he of course still in the neck brace and under observation from the medical team, but he's also been advised against air travel. That means he can't actually fly to the next venue, so it seems as if he is potentially set to miss at least the second test. And depending on how it is the injury goes, how it is the prognosis would be, it could very well be a little bit longer. Don't forget, he's also India's ODI captain, and India do have a 3-match ODI series against South Africa as a part of this very same tour. But one thing that has caught a lot of people's attention in the wrong way has truly been the Kolkata pitch. There's been a lot of talk about it, and that talk has, truth be told, only intensified not only after India's loss to South Africa, but also after head coach Gautam Gambhir's comments where he said that there was no demons in the pitch and this is the kind of pitch we wanted. Well, R. Ashwin is one person who disagrees with that, saying that, listen, it might not have been a turning pitch, which is what a lot of people are calling it. He's saying, but it was a dangerous pitch. It was a pitch where the bounce was up and down, and this is exactly what you're going to get when you try and take Eden Gardens, which has in recent times become more of a pace-friendly kind of a wicket, and try and make it a spinning wicket. You're going to get a dangerous wicket, so that was a very bad idea. And he has essentially also counterclaimed Gambhir's claim that, is this the kind of pitch you'd be wanting, or saying that it's not dangerous. It's also been done by Harbhajan Singh, another former India off spinner, who went as far as to say that Test cricket is dead. RIP Test cricket. Thanks to pitches like this, the game is not going to flourish. He was very critical of how it is the pitch played out, and truth be told, it's easy to understand why that is the case, because again, the pitch didn't really play to India's strengths and ended up creating a trap that they themselves ended up falling into. But there's going to be a lot more pitch talk in the meantime. Let's also switch our focus to other parts of the cricketing world. There was an India A versus Pakistan A game last night in the Rising Stars Asia Cup. The Pakistan team won pretty convincingly, but as always, trying to make a mountain out of a molehill, certain Pakistan accounts on X started to claim that, listen, the Indian players came to shake hands, but the Pakistan players ended up snubbing them. Of course, that was counterclaimed by people sharing videos of the fact that the Pakistan players were only congratulating each other, and the Indian team at no point actually came to end up shaking hands or even trying to shake hands. Pretty sad that your team has won the match convincingly, and the first thing you think is, ooh, let me go spread fake news. Great mentality. Definitely not a loser's mentality. That was obviously sarcasm. And one more cricket news before we switch our focus to world beyond sport, or the sports beyond that. Rajasthan Royals have now officially named Kumar Sangakkara as their head coach, in addition to his role as the director of cricket of the franchise. In fact, I'll quickly read out what his support staff looks like. The Vikram Rathore has been elevated to lead assistant coach, whatever that means. Shane Bond will continue on as the fast bowling coach. Trevor Penny will make a return as assistant coach, and Sid Lahiri will return as the team's performance coach. So pretty big overall team coaching staff that RR have, with a new head coach in Kumar Sangakkara at the helm. Be interesting to see really how it is that ends up going about. But as I said, switching our focus to the world of sport beyond cricket, and big news if you're a football fan, you'll get to see Erling Haaland in the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Now you're asking, why is that such a big deal? Surely he would be there, right? Well, not necessarily, because whilst Haaland is a beast in club football, his country Norway hadn't played a World Cup for over nearly 20 years. In fact, the last time they played a World Cup was the 1998 edition, but they have now punched their ticket to the 2026 edition, and they did it by beating Italy 4-1 in one of their final group games. It means that they will finish on top, and they have in fact qualified for the tournament. So congrats to Norway, a very passionate football nation that have sometimes had bad luck when it comes to qualifying for major tournaments, not only the FIFA World Cup, but even the Euros, the European Championships. However, what this also ends up doing is is that Italy are now in danger of missing out on the World Cup for a third straight edition. Remember, in 2018 and 2022, they ended up missing out because they lost their qualifying match, their playoff match rather, because they couldn't finish top of their group. They had to go to the playoff and they lost the playoff. This time too, they are going to be having to play the playoff, which will take place in March. So if they win that two-legged playoff, they punch their ticket. If they don't, well, then they end up missing out for a third straight edition. Now, you would say that Italy, the kind of quality they have and the kind of pedigree they have, remember, they're 4-time world champions. They should be qualifying, right? But as I said, they missed out in 2018 and 2022. And 2022, by the way, was egregious because they won the European Championships over a year prior. So the European Champions didn't end up actually qualifying for the FIFA World Cup. Stunning stuff, and it could potentially be happening again, assuming they don't win their playoff. Another team who's definitely, by the way, should not be worried about playoffs or qualification, Portugal and Cristiano Ronaldo. They beat Armenia 9-1 in an absolute drubbing to secure their spot in the finals for next year. So what that means, by the way, also is that Ronaldo will be playing his 6th FIFA World Cup. Wow. Talk about longevity. And there are plenty of criticisms to be made about Cristiano, and he makes it a little easy on himself by doing things like giving interviews to Piers Morgan. But can't doubt the longevity, and this could very well be his last chance, his last dance at winning the one trophy that has evaded him. More news, and Indian badminton players like HS Pranoy, Lakshya Sen, and the doubles duo of Satvik Sairaj, Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty are gearing up for the Australian Open Super 500, which will be beginning on Tuesday. Now, it's been a fairly mixed season, and by mixed I say below average season for Indian badminton as a whole. There haven't been many titles to celebrate, and there hasn't been much in the way of glory. But for these guys now, this is one of the final tournaments of the year. They'd want to be putting their best foot forward and trying to get one title and do well, and also prepare, because remember, next year you've got multi-sport events like the Asian Games and the Commonwealth Games. You'd want to be competing for medals in that as well. Last bit of news before we call it quits. The ATP Finals, the year-ending tennis tournament for men, is done and dusted. Yannick Sinner is your champion. He beat Carlos Alcaraz, his arch rival, in the final 7-6, 7-5, which means that he's actually ended the year as the player with the most major titles, because he did win 2 Grand Slams. He also won the year-ender final, but guess what? He doesn't finish as the year-end number 1. That is Alcaraz. He will end the year as the world number 1, because of course tennis rankings do work a little strangely with that. It also depends on how you progress in other tournaments and how many tournaments you win. So overall ranking points is determined by that. Bit of an oddity, but it has been the way of the land of tennis for a long time. But that's it from us, by the way, on this edition of the Morning Wrap. Thank you guys so much for joining us. As always, if you enjoy our work, don't forget, like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon, follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, X and Facebook, and stay tuned through the day for more such updates from the world of sport.